And how about those people who take DMT and say, I've got religion now? You've heard of that stuff, right?
Oh yeah, but there's perfectly good evidence that basically you're just suppressing parts of the brain.
So once again, science kills it.
Kills it.
But that would be the, you
But how
know.
can you kill that experience that
You
people
know, experience
seeing
is,
elves
kill
and
the
all sorts of
experience.
things?
experience is real, but it has nothing to do with reality. It's
Well,
completely
there we're
internal.
back to reality again.
It's completely internal.
You know, it's just like that
I think it's a
sensory
good
deprivation
point, though,
tank thing.
that-
But you weren't. That's not sleeping when you're in a sensory deprivation tank.
I know. But
That's real experience, right in the present moment.
it's all in your head.
Everything's all in your head.
Yes, I know, but the point is that you can sometimes connect to the outside universe. It can't be completely self-referential.
You can, and that's what we do with science. In fact, if we didn't have
Well,
a connection to
that's what we do
the
with
physical
That's with
universe.
everyday life. I mean,
Right.
that we evolved to exist in a world that appears to have 3 dimensions and certain physical laws. If we didn't, we wouldn't be here.
I like the way you put that. It appears to have 3 dimensions.
Well, no, because there's this theory now that it's actually a hologram of the surface of a black hole.
Mm-hmm.
What is a hologram?
The whole universe. It
Okay.
just looks. It just feels 3D. Really isn't. It's only
It's
2D.
back to it's all in your mind.
We don't even
But
exist.
then you get into solipsism, so the audience doesn't exist.
None of us exist. Nothing exists.
No, what exists is the present moment.
For you,
The present moment doesn't exist for you.
Is there,
I'm a figment of your imagination.
sometimes it doesn't work in here, right?
So that's the process.
You-
that's the problem.
You might be,
You fall
but,
into solipsism.
but that doesn't mean that you're not real to me.
No.
Right, to you. That's what he's talking about.
That's all that
Solipsism.
counts here, man. What's
Yeah.
right to me.
Exactly. Well, that's solipsism.
You know, if we did nothing else but had a table in the middle and had 5 of us around the table just doing this, to me this is the reality
Yeah, why don't we just do
the
this?
DNA of creativity.
It just edited.
Forget about the play. That's
Okay,
just,
here's-
Exactly.
the
yeah.
play can be a different.
Hang on,
different
here's the
project.
point.
And then he'll come in and put costumes on.
Hang on, here's what
We'll have a
I,
band and
Well, that's pretty
dancers.
Well, that's pretty easy to do.
no, it's not, not well.
It is for us. We can just talk.
No, here's my point about all of this, is that here's what I thought originally, why bringing this up, okay, is in my experience, you can go anywhere from anywhere, okay? But you need a point in space. When you're building something, when you're building a building, you need a point in space where you can start. And then you can put this point in space and that point in space, and you have 3 of them and you can make the building, okay? But you have to put a point in space. So all I thought is we have this to start, okay? Why don't we use that as our first point in space, or starting point, and do something with it?
We're arguing about it.
Hold it.
That's our second argument about it.
Okay. So the next stage
Long
of
as the alcohol's
this,
still
okay, is that we've got multiple
I'm just
opinions
trying
and
to take
points of
notes,
view.
minutes of
Oh,
everything.
good, good.
Let's get out of the
I'm doing the best I can.
I'm trying to keep
postmodernist,
myself.
Wait, let's get out of the what?
the postmodernist framework here.
What does that mean?
I don't think we're postmodernists at all.
What do you mean? You're not.
No, I'm
That's
not.
for
This is
sure. He is. But
What about me? I'm
But I want to know what you think postmodernist is in this context.
well,
Let's get out of this postmodernist. Let's get out of what? I don't understand.
Okay, postmodernism usually in art and philosophy is accepting multiple points of view and trying to deal with some isomorphic, sense of, dealing with those points of view together. And what it's produced in the history of art and music and science and everything else is pablum usually.
Is what?
Pablum.
Baby
food. It's usually baby food. Okay.
That's this mush.
It's everybody's opinion in life, and what it does artistically is, directionalist, and it's inert. Okay, and so for us to go in a direction, okay, it's to put these ideas in force together into doing something instead of just
We're gonna do
talking
that.
about it.
We're going to do that.
Okay, so here's what I think the next point in space may be.
We've got to get the first point in space.
No, the first point in space is let's start with this. Okay.
I'm not.
Hang
I'm
on.
not there yet.
Okay, I know you're not, but hang on. Okay.
All right, if we put this as the
Let's
first
hear
point
what the
in
first
space.
point is.
Okay,
What's
this
the
is not
first
point?
finished.
No, I know, but if
How
we
big
put,
is the space?
you're saying
How many
if we put
dimensions
this
does
as
it
the
have?
first point in space, then Continue.
No, here's what I'm saying, is if we're gonna go somewhere, okay, we gotta get on the bus, okay? So let's get on the damn bus.
Before it leaves the
Well,
stop.
actually, we're on the bus, but we're just, everybody's grabbing the steering wheel.
That's normal. Okay, you said that was gonna happen.
Alright, so who's the driver?
Okay, no,
That
but,
means
hang on.
we're
Here's-
all
We're doing a good job.
Here's what I'm
We're all
saying,
trying
is
to
let's
steer the
start
bus.
with this. Let's have a writing creative session with this.
He's got
we
his
might-
hand on the steering wheel.
No, we might strangle each other. Okay, but so what?
We
That'll be
love
fun.
each other too much to do that.
Are you sure?
I'm more concerned about crashing and
I'm
burning.
Lebanese. So, here's all I'm saying is that if you think these ideas are important to bring out, okay, if you really do, okay, to an audience to appreciate these ideas, okay, bringing them out, we have to find a wonderful way to do that, okay? And that what I think is
We got lots of time for that.
Yeah.
well, there's nice ways that can be done. It's that you can take an audience through the development of certain ideas. I mean, one of the biggest problems I have with my dad is that he's surrounded by all these really highly intellectual Christians at this one
That
university.
sounds dangerous.
And it is, well, the subliminal context, which you don't know, when you're set in those things, is it does work on your mind.
Yeah.
And for me to get him to overcome the dichotomy between faith and science, just put that whole thing in the past and get on to
What do you mean, how do you get
next.
over it?
I
It's
mean,
like,
is
you
this
just ignore
is this
faith?
a fundamentalist or?
They're highly intellectually well-read, not fundamentalists, but
So
academic
they're
professors and stuff.
theistic or deistic Christians?
They don't know they are, but they are because that's their background. They haven't really gone back to their original sources and the origins of their belief systems.
You don't have to go very far back to know whether you think that God exists, or God exists, does he take an active role in the thing and guide everything, or does he just sit back and watch the show
Did you
But
sit
see,
up in the
there's-
clouds and throw lightning bolts?
occasionally?
Well,
Does he intervene or not? I mean,
this
those
is
are
a higher
almost-
caliber of discussion than those,
Well, yeah,
bottom lines.
but I mean, you can
they-
still categorize them in those terms.
Well, what they're doing is they're dealing in ethics and things like that.
What college is this? Where
Where
is
they're
it?
not quite sure.
Where is this?
In Iowa.
It's a school.
It's called Waverly.
It's a
And it's
Waverly University or
a
Waverly
college.
College.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a problem like many of us come from is we only examine the origins of our beliefs only back so far, and we don't pull the whole orchestration of all our beliefs together and go, okay, here's a photograph. That's how I'm.
Well, they go back about 2,500 years because there's no text.
I can say this.
3,000. You can go back all the way.
I've studied the Sumerians in
5,000 years.
detail.
No, you're
I've studied the
Mahler.
Sumerians in detail. No, the
All-
Sumerians. The
All
Sumerians.
hail Enki.
And the conclusion I came to is that the only thing that's changed about humans in 5,000 years is technology. That's it.
Can I tell
Nothing
you a
else.
stupid thing?
Sure.
Okay, you know Lysistrata, the play?
Yes. yes.
Okay, and I already told you this, but in Lysistrata, it's where the women, what do you call it? Withhold
Go
sex.
go on strike. for
They
sex,
go on
yeah.
strike for sex.
So the guys
so
quit
the
fighting the
guy-
war, yeah.
So one of the guys, they're arguing, and one of the guys says, women, you can't live with them, you can't live without them. And the other wag goes, what are you saying that stupid stuff for? That's 2,500 years old.
Well, but you have to think of the time of classical Greece. Egypt, the pyramids are already 2,000 years old.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to believe how far
And
back.
You know
Egypt, the civilization of Egypt actually went for 5,000 years. It held together for that long.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
people actually spoke Egyptian until the 18th century. They're still, priests speak it, because it's a learned language. But
Or-
Okay.
the Coptic was still used. It's the longest
Living.
continuous history of a living language.
Okay, I need to put my hand on the wheel.
Okay. How about the break?
Stop the bus, we all want to get off.
Stop the world. I want to get off. Anyway,
All right, let's crash the bus.
well, I mean, okay, but you'll bring back the idea you raised a few minutes ago. I mean, if you think that, the early science fiction is really trivial, I mean, we could try it, I don't know, try to take on something.
Modern.
Modern.
Yeah, I love the idea of free energy. There's a lot of things like vacuum and stuff that's actually right now, right here and right now, that is vitally interesting and to the whole success of the world. And that's just one concept. How
Yes,
about
but it's probably not really free. There's no free lunch. I mean, you're
Law of
talking about-
thermodynamics.
Freer.
Perpetual motion.
freer than petrochemical?
Well,
Right, but I understand what John's saying. The second law of thermodynamics says that
I
all
mean,
energy is
okay,
conserved
I mean, you're
throughout the
talking about
universe.
free energy in the thermodynamic sense. You're talking about it in the sense that it's got a free energy over unity generator, that kind of free energy.
Well, there's a guy named Bearden that has about 10 different examples. He wrote a paper in the year 2000 about how vitally important it is to just take any one of these things and run
What do you
with it.
mean, like tidal energy, wind energy, solar energy?
And what he calls vacuum electromagnetic.
There's no way.
Who's that guy?
There's no Bearden. There's no
Yeah.
way. I'll have to.
Do you know-
I'll Google him when I get back. There's a couple of wonderful websites that have every one of these people listed.
Yeah.
Temptation is to put your name on it yourself, and I've resisted so far. There's the one on physics, which is called the Natural Philosophy Alliance, and they have a list of all the alternative physicists, and you'll discover, like Bill Wesley's father has a full page on it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Aquaz's father
Right,
has a whole page.
Tolga.
Tolga
Yarman,
Yarman, yeah.
But why not get something
well,
that's more vital to everyone?
Because that stuff is bullshit. I mean, it's physically impossible. And,
It's not physically impossible to have things that are more eco
well, that's certainly true. Although
dynamic
you
and
have to look at the whole process life cycle.
economical.
It's not clear, for example, that a hybrid car actually is any more ecologically sound than a gasoline car.
Yeah, I understand where John's
It
coming
just
from.
puts the pollution in somebody else's
Right. There's a
backyard.
price that you
Right.
pay on
But-
everything.
Yeah, we always say one man's evolution is another man's pollution.
Yeah. But the idea that you can extract somehow the free energy of the vacuum is probably not true. Just like the early science fiction stories, they thought cosmic energy, cosmic rays were a tappable source. That's what runs. You probably haven't read the Lensman series, but it's the original space opera and the best one ever written. They have inertialess ships that run on cosmic energy, and they can go, thousands of times faster than light with no inertia. It's just the friction of the interstellar medium that slows them down. Wonderful stories, but basically it's a gimmick to get the people around where you want them for the action. And that's what an awful lot of classical science fiction really was. It was just the adventure stories or or quest stories. I mean, there's only so many plot themes.
Yeah, I like the way in your play you talked about how the incredible time lags were edited out of the recording.
Yeah, we wouldn't do that if it didn't bother. But it's true. I mean, it takes 20 minutes to get a message to more.
Right. That was I thought that was a really good touch in your play. That it would take so long to get the messages back and forth that what looks like a dialogue to us would be interminable
Much
to actually
less
sit
Alpha
through.
Centauri, much less Betelgeuse,
Right.
much less
Well, Betelgeuse.
Deneb's 32
Yeah, but
hundred light years.
the problem is,
The
all
Andromeda
those,
Galaxy.
but all those, that's actually the farthest naked eye object you can see.
What's that?
The Andromeda Galaxy.
It's
It's about
2.2 million light years away.
Just a little fuzzy
I'll
spot.
never forget the first time I saw it in a telescope. I thought, wow, I'm looking at that thing the way it was over 2 million years ago.
But if you wait another couple of billion years, it'll be right next door.
Right.
Unless we're flung out in the boondocks where they grab a
Well,
tidal
John, you'll
jet.
be able to see that in one of your next lives.
Yeah, right. Probably more than my next one.
Several next lives
Yeah.
into the
That's another fantasy, is that you can slip into an alternative universe where time is started at a different
Parameter, yeah.
so you can go there and start over again.
But if you're not on author's bus pretty soon, your next life might be that far away.
That's very true. He may not let you off for a long, long time.
No, unfortunately, I come with an
Oh,
agenda.
Let's put some more gas in this motor
Yeah.
and see where we're going.
What were we saying about Mahler? He was brought up at least once in this discussion.
Well, here's the thing, dudes. I think we need a plan, you know, and, you know, it's,
I think we have a plan, but we need to figure out how we're gonna fill out this application and get the money for the project.
well, that too. And I think, go ahead.
How long do we have to get the,
March
March
31st.
31st.
But it's only about a two-page thing. It isn't very
It's
long.
not, you know, we just need a premise of what we're gonna work.
Yeah.
You know, what I love the most is this dichotomy, you know? I mean, that's what this whole thing is about art and science, you know, and putting the dichotomy together.
Yeah.
You gotta know what the dichotomy is before you can put it together.
Well, I think, you know,
Okay, then
I like the idea of actually of these, you know, exobiologists or astrobiologists, because a lot of people, you know, like Carl Sagan explicitly said, you know, I got excited about this because I read Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Right, exactly.
Listen to me, if you can break down the reason for that dichotomy, and there's what is, like I said before, and I'm being redundant here, but in there's what,
What's the reason for a flower?
I think it's part of the way the human psyche is organized. That, you know, we're logical because we have to survive, and we also have imagination, which who knows, maybe it developed
This
because of
sounds like
social,
politics.
because of social
You
interactions.
need-
Well,
you need-
politics is part of it. But the fact is, all of our languages allow us to lie, suggests that it's part of being
Or
human.
be deceived.
Be deceived, yeah.
or be truthful.
And also be able to detect it in other people. And but I don't know, gets so nebulous, and that's really not an area I know a lot about, is psychology.
The thing that what I would like to,
It'd be great if we had a psychologist.
Elizabeth?
But the real,
Ah,
but the problem
Or how about
we're facing is this thing, once again, is,
excuse me,
you know, there's a lot of philosophical stuff. But the real question is, how do you show this dramatically?
We got lots of time to do that. Let's just talk about what the philosophical question is that we're gonna,
Okay,
you know,
okay.
if
It's
we're
gonna
gonna
be
try to
interesting.
deal with this dichotomy,
But I mean, I've got to be a lot.
We're looking for a
I've gotta be lot of-
psychologist and you're the only,
I'm out of practice.
Oh,
I really am.
smart
she
answer.
jerked her shingle a long time ago.
we were just talking about, you know, getting a social scientist on board with the
Right.
group for the whole project.
Oh, it won't be me. Thank you for the
Oh,
invitation.
oh.
That's very kind. I'm just overburdened with a lot of other stuff, but that's very sweet.
we all, but they say the way you get something done, ask a busy person.
There you go. Well, I'm honored, but
Okay,
I think
okay.
it worked out.
Oh, really? Good.
Yes, I know what you're saying is like, okay, so we have this dichotomy, now what?
Yeah.
But we've got time to do
My
that if we
thing about
just
having
say,
the economy is we should enjoy it, and it's two facets.
true.
It's two halves of human experience.
That's
You have-
right,
You have an emotional one,
Right.
and an imaginative one, at least most people do, and you have a very logical one. And I think scientists have both, because, you know, you're not born a scientist. Science isn't something that you
I'm fine.
do spontaneously, most people.
I see it as a
Although
very
you
creative
can
process.
say that science, in a sense, is common sense that's been formalized. But it's difficult for most people to do it.
So is good art.
I agree, I completely agree.
You know, good
But-
art takes a
but-
lot of experience
but-
to do.
but-
And because you
But art
have to
can't-
see a lot to know
Yeah.
in the round what the ideas really are.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
a lot of people don't. You know, this is one of the problems too, as I was saying about creativity, is that if you know, I have this problem with architects a lot, is just that they've seen a lot of stuff on the internet, and they've seen a lot of stuff in books and stuff like that, but they haven't been in San Sofia and Istanbul, and been there in the actual experience. They haven't touched a French cement telephone pole and say, hey, yeah, this is made out of cement, this isn't wood, this isn't metal, this is, you know what I mean? And the same thing, you know that in music too, it's the same thing. Unless you've heard a lot of stuff, you know, you really don't have a sense of in the round of
Where you're,
dimensionality or where to go You know, you may think you're going someplace, but it's derivatory.
Well, that's what it's in science. In fact, they've noticed that people looking at the ages of Nobel Prize winners and other prize winners, that their age is actually creeping up.
Yeah.
It takes so long to get to the frontier.
Well, that's the case in architects and filmmakers, is you can't do a piece of a building every 5 minutes or every
No,
month.
I know.
It takes 5-10 years, and the
You know
same
what?
thing as a film.
This is actually really interesting to me because just today a friend of mine was talking about the Super Bowl and how they're having such a hard time keeping people, getting young people interested in the Super Bowl because the age of Super Bowl watchers is creeping up and up and up and up. Because kids are interested in video games and what they can do on their iPods and you know, they don't care about the Super Bowl. Who cares about that?
So
There's
that
so
can-
much more for entertainment now.
That introduces the question, is that, and I keep saying this, is I think we can answer a lot of these questions if we say, why are we doing this? What's the point? Why do we want to do, what's the interest? Or rather, what's the goal? What's the payoff? What are we going to get intellectually?
And who's the audience, who's our target audience?
Right.
Because
Well, we can figure that out, but
not necessarily, I mean, if it's the young, then maybe we're going in the wrong direction.
well, maybe we'll put this in the hip hop club. You know, but the question is, do you see what I'm trying to bring out? Is that what's the end game here to the big project, to the host project?
To me, it's no different than what's the end game when you make a piece of artwork. You're experiencing your life and you're expanding your boundaries of consciousness. And I think
Towards
this
what?
effort toward life.
I think it's
you
the
know?
pleasure of creativity. I mean, I get pleasure out of writing something like this, and I'll get even more about communicating it with somebody, hoping they, in some respect, have the same pleasure,
Well, no,
whatever
that's
emotional
how.
reaction
Well,
from viewing it.
but the thing is, this has been defined in
Thinking
terms
about
of parameters of art and science. Okay.
Okay.
So, again, to me, that smells a little bit like the dichotomy between faith and science, or technology and art, or politics and art, or politics and sociology, or psychology and what do you call it, business?
Yeah,
Or, okay,
So what's the point?
the point is,
I'm sorry,
the point is, let's do something with that idea.
I
Instead
agree,
of
I agree.
just sitting
We
in
haven't,
the bath in
we haven't
the
decided what
jacuzzi.
the idea is yet.
Okay,
Right.
well,
I mean,
here's what I'm
I have
suggesting.
a fairly clear idea of what I was trying to do in this, whether I actually did it or not.
I think you did it.
Well, I think,
I don't think I agree with it, but I think you did it.
well, I don't really quite see why we don't agree.
Because
He doesn't like the idea.
I don't
that-
think that science fiction is killed by. I don't think the purpose of science fiction is to be a presecure to science. Science fiction.
Well, no, okay, I'll, yeah.
Science fiction. You keep talking
Is
about
art in
this
itself.
particular science fiction, but yeah, science fiction
Science
is
fiction
art.
is art.
It's about the
I
magic.
know the problem.
It's about magic, and it's about the magic in art and the magic in science. What's the difference between the magic that draws a scientist to be a scientist and the magic that an artist is drawn to be an artist? And are these the same magic? I don't think so.
Well, that's what we ought to explore. Okay,
Here's
so
what-
why don't we put that in our application? 'Cause that's
Here's
a
what
good-
I think, okay?
That's good.
If you're really working in art, you can't stand to call yourself an artist. You would never do that. Other people might say that or refer to you as that.
Because why? Well, you don't want to call yourself an artist.
Because you're not working within the confines of a discipline, you're developing the evolution of an experience. And the idea is to contextualize you in that thing is embarrassing. And it's a very vain position to take if you're really working, is because you're exploring constantly the outer perimeters of the largest ideas you can think of and
But you
realizing.
wouldn't call yourself a non-artist if you were working in the art
Well,
field.
you
Well,
don't call yourself.
I think most people call themselves artists, like most of us
No,
call ourselves
not-
scientists. Every artist I know, except maybe you, calls themselves an artist.
you know, you've got to, if you're an artist and no one pays any attention to what you're doing, you have to have plenty of delusions of grandeur.
That's not the case. I mean, that's a marketing, situation. Okay.
What's the marketing situation?
That context that you just brought up. If you're really working on something, okay, within those parameters, it may not be art in the end.
It
You
may
have
not.
to leave that open.
That's true, it may
you
not
know?
be art.
It's-
You can call yourself an artist and not be doing art. Very-
No,
you know,
but
there's
you
a
know
lot
what I'm
of,
trying to say, right?
Right.
I personally think conceptual art is not really art, you know, but there's a lot of people that would want to argue with me on that, but I think conceptual art is more towards
Here's
science.
what I'm saying is, for artists working in art, for people to constantly overlay definitions on yourself of what the thing is you're working on is not helpful to working on,
True.
that.
You limit yourself if you say, okay, I'm going to be this, you know. But you've got to have some sort of category for what I'm doing. I'm doing things that are aesthetic in nature, okay? Am I a scientist? Am I an engineer? Am I an artist? Am
Why
I
do
a
you
poet?
need that?
Am I a musician?
Why do you need that?
You know,
Those are all Renaissance ideas, that classification. And there's why do
to
you need that?
communicate to somebody that I'm doing something in the aesthetic realm. If I say I'm just an aesthetician, no one has a clue what I'm
Why do we have
talking
to
about.
identify
That's the
ourselves?
How do you know what I am?
Actually,
Why do we need to know that? Are you defined by your vocation?
You know, I'm trying to
In some context, yes.
yes.
In
If
some
we're trying to
context,
communicate, we have to have language. We have to categorize things.
How about
we
the,
can't
how about a
communicate.
whole another idea of just what is your presence? What's the gravity of your soul?
What's the gravity of my soul? You know, or what am I?
No.
Don't know.
I'm not going to tell you. None of your business.
Yes, I
No, but we're saying, actually,
Don't
let's
know
boil this
mine.
down. You're talking about labels,
Yeah.
and you're not simply a label.
Okay.
That, I think that's what we're getting beyond. We're beyond labels, and every artist is somewhat a
Five of us are
scientist.
definitely beyond a label.
Because you're putting materials together in some sort of a new way.
or an old way. There's a freedom within that thing to be able. Freedom is a gift to be able to work. You know what I mean?
I think it's just a distraction from the big issue here.
I think
Yeah, what is
it seems like the biggest issue is John and I. Maybe John and I should get together and have coffee sometime.
Yeah, I think maybe we should.
Yeah.
Fight it out?
Yeah, yeah. No, we're not gonna fight, you know.
No, I mean, put on the brakes and the
I have
accelerator.
the highest respect for John. I think he's brilliant.
I'm
you know?
joking, you know that.
Not a bad writer either.
We haven't read all of my stuff yet.
No, but
You know, you guys could
two
resolve
things
that
I've read
issue very
are-
quickly, though.
Yeah, you got a gun?
No, and that is that you could ask him, okay, as a scientist, why is he writing science fiction?
I discovered both of them about the same time. I was about 10 or 12 years old.
No, but go to motive. Okay.
I enjoy doing both.
Okay.
I get excited.
So is that, are you
Emotional.
killing science by writing that?
No,
Science,
no.
did science kill this for you?
Okay, fine. Here,
Um,
here's a second.
No, in fact, I used to reread the whole series, 8 or 9 books every year.
So what is it
Really?
you still like about it?
I haven't read them recently.
No, just
Because I'm knowing them so well. I don't get it. There's no suspense or excitement anymore. I know what's going to happen. I can quote passages from them. You know?
Was that so?
I used to actually, when I'd see Mars on the horizon, I would raise my arms and wait for that snap of a steel spring and the momentary qualm of nausea and that feeling of incredible, unendurable cold, and find myself naked on the reddish sward
yeah.
and find I could jump 100 feet with a jump. I can sock.
Joe put that on the board for us to look at.
Yeah.
I put the
And
whole.
I started
first one.
reading it.
Yeah, it was his first writing. What's interesting, I think, about that book, just from a literary point of view, is you can see that he gets better writing as it gets farther
Yeah, I
into it.
remember you said that last time.
It starts out very
You
slow.
can watch him learn how to be a writer in that
He
book.
wrote as
yeah.
a serial, and I think all story. And He invented Tarzan a few years later.
I didn't find very much science in his method of
No.
getting to Mars.
No, there isn't any.
It seems to be more of an astral projection.
Yeah, and in fact, he uses that. At one time, the Martians do try to send a ship using the ninth ray to the Earth, but something happens and they end up being just another satellite of Mars. And then another one of these characters is going to go to Mars, and he launches his rocket, and he forgets the gravitational attraction of the moon in his orbital calculation, so he gets thrown off course, ends up on Venus. That's a whole other series that's not as good. And then occasionally they communicate by a sort of an ultra radio called the Gridley wave, which they also, I think, use to communicate to the people exploring the center of the Earth, which is hollow. In another series. I mean,
No, that was a whole other thing that he did.
he wrote about 6 or 8 series, and he had a marvelous imagination, derivative in some extent. And
Seemed quite derivative, what I've read so far.
yeah. Well, remember this was what, 1910 or something.
Exactly 100 years ago.
But he was churning out books like crazy. I mean,
Yeah, he wrote about 20 or 30 Tarzan books. He wrote a dozen of these. He wrote at least I think a half a dozen Center of the Earth books.
and the
And he
Venus
wrote some
books,
Apache stories and stuff. And,
yeah.
uh,
He wrote a lot of stuff, hundreds of books.
He died in 1953. Remember I was sitting around with my father and having breakfast. 1950 actually. And he said, "Oh, Edgar Rice Burroughs died." Because we always read the Tarzan, the Sunny, and the
In the,
Sunny Paper. It's beautiful artwork.
yeah.
Well, again, I think J. Allen St. John that's when they did it.
Half hour.
And then Dad told me that he also wrote science fiction, so I went to the library and got the series. And then I didn't read it again until I was a graduate student. I sat down and read about 3 or 4 of them one afternoon, and it was so standing. I run down the store. Because the first four books are one story.
Oh,
And then he brings in more characters. And, they have ups and downs.
I just got a copy of The Warlord of Mars from the Rancho Santa Fe Library on Saturday.
Yeah.
And in the preface it says, even by conservative estimates, considering all the different languages he's been translated into, his books on Mars must have sold, I think they said 30 million copies or hundreds of millions of copies maybe. Yeah.
Most of a lot of the characters in this thing come out of a later book called The Mastermind of Mars.
Well, I have 2 suggestions.
Yes.
First suggestion is that we have a writing creative session. Okay. Second suggestion is before we do that, you guys get together on some ideas, and
I don't think writing is a performing art. I'm quite willing to sit down and talk to you and take notes and everything else, but I'm going to have to go off and write it by myself.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever tried writing in a collaborative situation?
Yes.
Mm, good.
I've sat there writing grant proposals, typing while people are talking at me.
No, I mean, have you ever had a creative session between a bunch of people where it's something really good has come up by more brains than one?
Not in a literary sense. We've done cases where everybody writes a paragraph of a story, and the person only sees, each person passes around the room, each person only sees the last
See,
one.
he just wants the wheel of the bus.
The last one. And
What do we do about
it's
that?
amusing, but it's, most of the examples, sort of like Chinese telephone.
So there's some of the best writing teams in Hollywood that are just great. I mean, they're each person has it's a personality in a team. It's like a band or a piece of,
I know people that kind of break an outline. The one person will write a chapter, then the next person will.
No, but I mean, there's brainstorming sessions where everybody goes, what about this, and let's try this.
And I think that's what be great.
Brainstorming is one thing, but I think actually sitting down and writing it.
yeah.
Here's my approach. The reason I'm bringing this up.
Well, hey,
is I have a
actually, I think
logic.
he's onto a good idea.
I'm more than happy to read it.
Here's the logic, okay? We've got some strong musical contingents here. We've got some strong staging things here.
Yeah.
We've got some strong poetic and arithmetical ideas. We've got some strong literary and scientific things. If we were to pool that all into a creative session,